In the quaint town of Everwood, nestled at the foot of the Grey Rock Mountains, a sense of adventure lingered in the air, as palpable as the mist that rolled off the peaks each morning. It was in this small, unassuming town that 5 teenagers, bound by their thirst for adventure and the unbreakable bonds of friendship, found themselves drawn to the allure of the unknown. Jake, the de facto leader of the group, was a charismatic young man with a magnetic pull that drew people to him. His passion for exploration was matched only by his ability to inspire that same excitement in others. Alongside him were Lily, whose laughter could light up the darkest cave, Max, the group's cautious planner and voice of reason, Hannah with her unquenchable curiosity, and Ethan, the quiet one with a knack for solving puzzles. Their latest venture was to explore the legendary Whispering Cave, an intricate cave system rumored to be both mesmerizing and treacherously challenging. Local legends spoke of vast underground chambers, hidden lakes, and crystal formations that rivaled the stars in splendor. To the teenagers, the cave represented the ultimate test of their skills and a chance to etch their names in the town's lore. In the days leading up to their expedition, excitement buzzed through the group like electricity. They meticulously gathered equipment, pored over old maps, and researched every scrap of information they could find about the cave. The local community, familiar with the teenagers' escapades, offered words of caution mixed with admiration for their daring spirit. On the morning of their journey, as the sun cast its first light on the Grey Rock Mountains, the group stood at the mouth of the Whispering Cave. The entrance yawned before them like a gateway to another world, dark and inviting. They exchanged glances, a silent agreement passing between them. They were ready for whatever mysteries lay ahead. With Jake leading the way, they stepped into the cool embrace of the cave. As the light from the entrance faded behind them, they delved deeper into the heart of the mountain, unaware of the fate that awaited them. The cave, with its ancient secrets and unseen depths, was about to test the limits of their friendship, their bravery, and their will to survive. As they ventured deeper into the Whispering Cave, the outside world seemed to fade away, replaced by an alien landscape of rock and shadow. The cave's walls, slick with moisture, glistened in the beams of their headlamps, revealing intricate patterns and shapes sculpted by time and nature. The air was cool and earthy, carrying the faint, eerie echo of their own movements. The initial challenges they faced, a tight crawl space here, a tricky climb there, only served to heighten their excitement. Each obstacle overcome was a victory. Each new chamber discovered a reward. The cave's beauty was breathtaking. Stalactites and stalagmites appeared like the works of an otherworldly artist, and occasionally they would come across small pools of water, so clear and still that they seemed like windows to another world. Lily's laughter echoed off the walls, a sound of pure joy and wonder. Max, ever the planner, kept a careful eye on their route, ensuring they could retrace their steps. Hannah's curiosity had her examining every nook and cranny, her eyes wide with fascination. Ethan, with his quiet demeanor, seemed to be in his element, solving the natural puzzles of the cave with a calm and methodical approach. As they progressed, the challenges grew, but so did their confidence. They felt invincible, a team capable of facing anything the cave threw at them. When they discovered a large chamber, its ceiling lost in darkness and its floor sparkling with mineral deposits, they were awestruck. It was a hidden world, a secret kept by the earth for millennia, now revealed to them. They set up camp here, basking in the glow of their triumph, sharing stories and dreams. That night, as they sat around their makeshift camp, the cave around them seemed almost friendly, a giant playground waiting to be explored. They were adventurers, explorers in a new frontier, and the cave was their domain. Little did they know, as they drifted off to sleep, that the Whispering Cave had not yet revealed its true nature. The sense of wonder and invincibility they felt was about to be shattered replaced by a harrowing struggle for survival in a place that cared little for human bravery or curiosity. The next morning greeted them with a silence that seemed to press against their ears, a stark contrast to the jovial chatter that had filled the chamber the night before. As they packed up their camp, a subtle shift in the atmosphere went unnoticed, a quiet before the storm that was brewing in the heart of the cave. They ventured deeper, drawn by the lure of what mysteries might lie further within. The cave began to reveal its more challenging side, with narrow passages that forced them to proceed in single file and steep descents that tested their climbing skills. The air grew heavier, the weight of the mountain pressing down upon them. It was during one such descent that the first sign of real danger presented itself. Lily, usually so sure-footed, slipped. The fall wasn't severe, but the sprained ankle she suffered was a sobering reminder of the cave's treacherous nature. The group's mood shifted palpably. Laughter and banter were replaced with concerned whispers and cautious steps. Despite the setback, they decided to press on, helping Lily as best they could. The cave's beauty still mesmerized them, but now there was an undercurrent of respect, even fear, in their admiration. As they navigated a particularly narrow tunnel, they found themselves in an expansive cavern, its walls shimmering with mineral deposits. The sight was breathtaking, a vast underground landscape that sparkled like a starlit sky. In this moment, the group's spirits lifted. This was the kind of discovery they had dreamed of. The cavern seemed a sanctuary, a reward for their perseverance. They explored its expanse, their sense of wonder temporarily overshadowing the earlier incident. But as they delved further into the cavern, the cave's whispers grew into murmurs, a sound that seemed almost like speech. The air turned colder, the shadows deeper. The cavern, once a source of awe, began to feel like a trap, its beauty a facade hiding something far more sinister. As the day wore on, the cave continued to show its true colors. Passages seemed to shift, landmarks became unrecognizable, and a creeping realization began to take hold. They were lost. The cave they had entered so confidently was now a labyrinth, its paths a twisted puzzle they couldn't solve. In the heart of the Whispering Cave, surrounded by darkness and silence, the group's adventure turned into a fight for survival. The cave, once an exciting mystery, had become a deadly maze, and the teenagers, once so full of life and hope, were now ensnared in its unforgiving grasp. The realization that they were lost struck them like a physical blow. Panic began to set in as they retraced their steps, only to find that the paths seemed different, the landmarks unfamiliar. The cave had turned on them, its twisting corridors a maze with no discernible exit. In their frantic search for a way out, the group became further fragmented. Max, in an attempt to find a vantage point, climbed a rocky outcrop and fell, his cries echoing through the cavern before being silenced abruptly. The group, now down to 4, was paralyzed with shock and grief. Max's fall was a grim reminder of their vulnerability in the face of the cave's indifferent might. Desperation took hold as they pressed on, their movements more erratic, their decisions driven by fear rather than reason. The once magnificent caverns and crystal formations now seemed mocking, a beauty that was indifferent to their plight. The cave's whispers grew louder, an incomprehensible language that seemed to mock their predicament. Then, in a cruel twist of fate, they stumbled upon a glimmer of hope, a faint stream of daylight filtering through a small crevice high above. Energized by this discovery, they worked together to construct a makeshift ladder from their ropes and climbing gear. Lily, despite her injury, insisted on being the first to climb, driven by a desperate need to escape the oppressive darkness. But as she neared the crevice, the unstable rock gave way, and she fell into the darkness below. The group's hope shattered with her fall, the light from the crevice now a taunting reminder of their failed escape. The cave had claimed 2 of their own, and as the hours turned into days, their situation grew more dire. With limited food and water, and no way to communicate with the outside world, each passing moment in the cave felt like an eternity. The darkness around them was no longer just a physical barrier. It was a mental one, pressing down on them with the weight of their own despair. In their isolated and hopeless state, the group began to turn on each other. Accusations and blame filled the air, their camaraderie and teamwork disintegrating under the strain of their dire circumstances. Jake, once the confident leader, now grappled with the burden of his decisions, his optimism replaced by a crushing sense of guilt. As they aimlessly wandered the dark passages, the cruel irony of their situation became clear. They had sought adventure and found tragedy. They had pursued excitement and stumbled into a nightmare. The Whispering Cave, with its deceptive beauty and labyrinthine passages, had become their tomb, a silent witness to the downfall of 5 young adventurers who had ventured into its depths in search of wonder, but found only despair. The dwindling light from their headlamps cast long, haunting shadows on the cave walls, a constant reminder of their perilous situation. Hannah, once driven by curiosity, now seemed a shadow of her former self, her eyes haunted by the loss of their friends. Ethan, the quiet problem solver, had grown increasingly withdrawn, his attempts to find a way out met with failure at every turn. As their supplies ran low, so did their hope. The cold, unyielding darkness of the cave became a suffocating presence, a relentless force that seemed intent on crushing their spirits. The once awe-inspiring whispers of the cave now sounded like taunts, a chorus of unseen voices mocking their plight. In a moment of fragile hope, Jake rallied the group for one final attempt to find an exit. They chose a path they had not taken before, driven by a desperate, almost primal need to see the light of day once more. But as they journeyed deeper, the oppressive atmosphere of the cave grew heavier, and a sense of doom settled over them. Their path led them to an underground river, its waters dark and swift. Here, they faced a harrowing decision: attempt to cross the treacherous river in hopes of finding an exit on the other side, or turn back and face the certainty of their grim fate. Choosing to brave the river, they fashioned a makeshift raft from their remaining gear. But as they navigated the churning waters, tragedy struck again. The raft capsized in the turbulent current, and Ethan was swept away into the darkness, his cries for help abruptly silenced. Jake and Hannah, the only ones left, managed to cling to a rock, their bodies battered and their spirits broken. They sat in silence, the loss of Ethan a devastating blow that extinguished the last flicker of hope in their hearts. As they contemplated their next move, the cave seemed to close in around them, its darkness a tangible force. The realization that they would not leave the cave alive was a crushing weight, a final surrender to the merciless nature of their surroundings. In the end, the cave claimed them all. Their bodies were never recovered, their story piecing together from the gear and journals found at the cave's entrance. The tale of their tragic expedition became a cautionary legend, a stark reminder of the unforgiving power of nature and the fine line between adventure and catastrophe. The deadly cave stood as a silent testament to the courage and folly of 5 young souls who sought the thrill of the unknown but found only darkness and despair. Their story, a blend of hope and horror, echoed in the whispers of the cave, a haunting melody that sang of dreams unfulfilled and lives cut tragically short. In the wake of the tragedy, the Whispering Cave became shrouded in an aura of mystery and sorrow. The local community, once proud of its natural wonder, now viewed it with fear and respect. The cave, a site of adventure and exploration, had transformed into a solemn reminder of the fragility of life. Authorities sealed the cave, deeming it too dangerous for future expeditions. A small memorial was erected at its entrance, bearing the names of Jake, Lily, Max, Hannah, and Ethan. It stood as a tribute to their adventurous spirits and a warning to those tempted by the lure of the unknown. News of the tragedy spread far and wide, drawing both sympathy and a morbid fascination. The story of the teenagers who vanished into the depths of the earth captivated the public imagination. Books were written, documentaries produced, and the cave became the subject of urban legends and ghost stories. People speculated about what had truly happened in the cave's shadowy recesses, but the full truth remained locked within its sealed passages. As years passed, the story of the deadly cave took on a life of its own. It became a cautionary tale about the dangers of spelunking, a reminder to respect the power of nature. The teenagers' fate was discussed in hushed tones, their story serving as a grim lesson to young adventurers seeking to test their limits. Yet, despite the tragedy, the allure of the Whispering Cave persisted. It became a place of pilgrimage for those drawn to its tragic history, a site of reflection and reverence. The sealed entrance, with its silent memorial, stood as a testament to the teenagers' unfulfilled dreams and the mystery that had claimed their lives. The cave's whispers, once a source of wonder and excitement, now echoed with a somber melody. The story of the 5 friends who ventured into its depths, filled with hope and a thirst for adventure, had ended in darkness. But their legacy lived on, a haunting reminder of the thin line between adventure and peril, and the eternal call of the unexplored that resonates in the heart of every adventurer. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the stories to come.